Today's match reaction is brought to you by FanTeam, where you can win £100,000 in the second chance fantasy football season game. The links are in our description below and in the live comment section. Go check it out at the end of this stream. Smash that like and share button. Let's go, people. Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Chelsea 3, Aston Villa 1. A Romelu Lukaku, a big 4-4, no safety inspired comeback. It really, really was. Chelsea didn't look at the races in the first half. A lot of pressure riding on this game with Arsenal and Tottenham winning, Man City smashing Leicester. Remember, for Chelsea, finishing top 4 but being nowhere near a title race is failure in the Premier League. A club that big, a club with that much pedigree in the Premier League, with a squad and manager as good as theirs, winning and challenging are the only two kind of currencies that they're dealing. It's as simple and as straightforward as that. They got the penalty, some good work from Callum Hudson-Odoi that was brilliant today. And then in the second half, Lukaku essentially returned today. His first goal since September against Aston Villa. And the movement, the perseverance, the ability to read the game and the way in which he did gave Chelsea that impetus. They held on to it, and they were resolute at times today, Chelsea. And look, I know they conceded a bit of a fluky, dodgy own goal, but they really did limit Aston Villa to very, very little attempts on target. No real clear-cut chances. It was a more stereotypical Thomas Tuchel Chelsea performance. They get the third goal in the dying moments after a brilliant driving run from Lukaku. He wins the penalty. J5 puts it away, getting a brace of penalties in the game for him. Puts them level on points with Liverpool in this race, and it keeps them within touching distance of Manchester City. This was, without doubt, a must-win game, a complete must-win game for Chelsea Football Club today, without a shadow of a doubt. There was no room to maneuver. There was no room for failure. There was nowhere to go other than to win. And they stepped up today, Chelsea. They've got Arsenal fans and Arsenal Football Club breathing down their neck. And they were able to push back today and pick up those 3 points. I want your views and I want your opinions. As we said at the start of the show, today we are sponsored by FanTeam. £100,000 you can win. If you fancy starting your fantasy football league again from scratch, in just over 2 weeks' time, FanTeam are launching that opportunity and that chance. The link is in the description and in the live comments for all the details that you need to know. Go check it out now. £100,000 prize you can win in the second chance fantasy football season. Go check that out with our title sponsors, FanTeam. Super chat here just says Lukaku forever. Essentially, they're brilliant. He was brilliant when he came on today. You saw all the best parts of him. Nice was impressed with Lukaku. Strip Bear in the house. How you doing, Strip Bear? I hope that you are well. Let's do some more of these comments here. A lot of people talk about Jorginho in the comments. Terry, Arsenal versus Wolves is set to be called off. I haven't seen that news. I know Wolves have had a few issues. That'll be disappointing for Arsenal. They won't want to stop this momentum. They would want, like Arsenal don't want to have time off right now. They don't have European football on the horizon. They want to keep playing. They want to keep the feel-good factor alive. The mood is really, really good as well. So that'll be hugely disappointing for Arsenal if that's the case. And good news for Chelsea, good news for Man United, and good news for Tottenham that can hopefully push in front of them further and make that ground up respectively. And it's one of the reasons why it was so important today for Chelsea. If they lost today, they were 3 points only in front of Arsenal in fourth. They were suddenly closer to going out of the top 4, maybe, than being top of the league. And I said this earlier today, and I mean this, and I want to ask Chelsea fans this question. The panel, we're going to speak about it today. When you're Chelsea, when you're Liverpool, the bare minimum is to be in a title race. They can't have got through this weekend and been this Christmas fixture list and be 9 points, 10 points, 12 points behind City and maybe behind Liverpool as well when they're playing them on the horizon. Unacceptable for a team with the size and quality of Chelsea to do that. And Chelsea fans know that as well. So that was huge. King Lukaku version 2.0. Haters in the mud is what SS has got to say here. Look, Lukaku stepped up today and did a very, very good job indeed. Had a lot of stick recently, and today, was a little bit of redemption for him. No doubt about it whatsoever. So to here says United out of the top 4 since September. And are you surprised? We had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in charge. We were absolutely embarrassing. And we've only managed to play a couple of games under Ralph. So I wouldn't be too concerned about that as a Man United fan. It's about what we do from now moving forward. But thank you very, very much for informing us of that information. Big Rom, a.k.a. Big 4-4 no safety is what Gianfranco Drogba has got to say here. We're bringing out our panel very, very soon when they arrive. I think sometimes I need to tell the panel that I need them here at full time. like 7 o'clock on the dot. Luis is there. We've got some rivals coming on tonight as well. Very impressed with Lukaku today, Terry, is what Daniel 999 has got to say. And I'm not surprised. He was absolutely brilliant. Got a Wolves fan here, says Wolves. Cody gives today interview 10 hours ago. We had a huge advantage in the Arsenal game. Now it's sad if it comes official and is postponed. Yeah, look, the thing is, though, we've got to wait for the Premier League to announce. I was sitting there last night chilling, having a few drinks, and the Palace Spurs game was called off. And then I got a text from a journalist, and I was saying, just be mindful, Terry. I've only aggregated the news, and I've said who the source was. He went, but the Premier League haven't confirmed it yet. So I'm just waiting till I see the Premier League or the clubs themselves say it's off. Then I tread with a little bit of trepidation, a little bit of, what's the word I'm looking for? I just tread carefully in terms of that, because clubs are applying for it. It doesn't mean it's going to be accepted. Remember, if you've got 13 outfield players and a goalkeeper available, it goes ahead. Your backroom staff, your coaches, managers, that doesn't factor in. That's why Palace had to play without Vieira today and everything else. Jamie, a member here, says Chelsea have themselves a chance today to still think they will fall short of the title, but never completely out of it. Do you know what I'd say, Jamie? They may not win the title, but I say this. When you've got a squad like Man United, Liverpool and Chelsea, if you're not challenging for the title, you've failed in your season. Man United's season as a club is already a failure because we're not going to challenge for the title. Ralph's period could be successful for him and his little kind of ring fence campaign. But Man United season's a failure because we're not challenging with this brilliant squad for the title. If Chelsea end up finishing 15 points off City, if Liverpool finish 15 points off City, that's league-wise, that's just failure. I'm seeing fans sort of talk about, it's inevitable, City are that much better than us. Unless you were saying that at the start of the season and we're going to be nowhere near it, it's not an excuse. Where is Anita with Chelsea plays better without Lukaku? I don't know where Anita is, but listen, he was very, very good today indeed. I think that's something that Anita said maybe 5-6 weeks ago now. Let's see what happens when he's playing more regularly. It's one day. He deserves praise today. But one swift does not a summer make. No echo chambers. People respect each other. Of course, differences of opinions are welcome at the terrace. Let's have a little look at some more of these comments here. Panel coming very soon, my friends. Totally agree is what Jamie says here. Why is there a Bayern Munich fan here? Because it's the football terrace, brother. I see you Chelsea fans turn up when rivals lose or rivals win. So there we go. Terry Wolves tweeted it on Twitter. Wolves have tweeted it. Fair enough. I didn't know that. I'm just pointing out. Until you see it from them, don't take it with a pinch of salt, but just be mindful that it may or may not go ahead. That's all I've said. Like, relax. Comment here says, relax. It's an interesting take. He says, where's it gone? It's only Villa. Let's see if Lukaku will do it against Liverpool. Well, we'll see. The problem is you can't not praise someone because they haven't done it against somebody in the future yet. No one's sitting there saying Lukaku is the best striker in the league. Lukaku deserves to be knighted. Lukaku is better than prime R9. Just saying that he did very well when he came on today. I don't get the issue with praising somebody for doing well. Gabriel Jesus, he's not as good as Sergio Aguero. But if he scores a brace or he's instrumental in a comeback for Man City, because he's not as good as Aguero doesn't mean you don't praise him, right? Or because he might not score the next week doesn't mean you don't praise him in that instance. That's a crazy logic for me. Crazy logic for me. It really is. A comment here says, flat track bully Lukaku is back. United fans know this. Lukaku is what's been said here. Why are people all of a sudden saying Liverpool failed if their squad isn't challenging for the title? All I heard last summer was how weak the Liverpool squad was. Well, look, again, if Liverpool end up not challenging for the title, it is a failed season as a club. Now, there could be reasons for it, but it is. And you know it is, because your squad's good enough to win the league, to win the Champions League, and you should be challenging. It's as simple as that. I don't think it's necessarily... just because people think you may not have won it doesn't mean you shouldn't be challenging. They are two completely separate, exclusive viewpoints, standings, and discussions. They really are. Whether someone thinks you're going to do it or whether you should do it, they're not the same thing, my bro. They're not the same thing, G. They're not the same thing. Over 1,100 watching and just over 100 likes. You're absolutely right, CFC Florida. Thank you. Smash that like button for us right now on Boxing Day. We've suddenly got what we got now right now on Facebook watching over 372 likes. So they're doing you right now over there on Facebook. So make sure you get that done. Let's have a little look at some more of these comments. Panel coming very, very soon, my people. Panel on its way. Big Rom is back, baby, is what Mohammed's got to say here. Joel says Lukaku main attribute is just running in the channels to beat Chelsea. Still stick 8 defending and 2 up front. Villa 2 open today is what Joel's got to say. Cho needs to improve his decision making. See, I don't think Hudson-Odoi was that bad today. You know, won the penalty, created the second. The only thing I feel like he got wrong, and it wasn't even wrong, he just didn't execute it right, was that chance to seal the game late on. I would look more at Mason Mount's decision making today. I thought I just felt like he was really off the boil. But if I was to look at, Hudson-Odoi for me today, I thought I wouldn't say he had a world-class game or anything like that, but he did very, very well. Created a chance, created a couple of chances, obviously set the goal up, won the penalty as well. It wasn't an overtly brilliant day in front of goal for anybody. Only 8 attempts on goal from Villa, only 9 attempts on goal from Chelsea. Neither side really broke down their opponents defensively. But I thought Hudson-Odoi played well today. But I'd love to get your views and your opinions on that, ladies and gentlemen. I really, really would. Sass here says, big 4-4, no safety. Lukaku, who's back, is what Sassa's got to say. Right, I'm going to start bringing out some of the panel now. Latimus Prime is backstage. We've got CFC Beast. We've got Lee S here from a rival point of view as well. Make sure that like button has been smashed and shared. Let's do it, people. Let's go. Evening all. Merry Christmas and all that jazz. How's everyone doing?
Good, bro. How are you?
Good.
I'm very, very well. Daniel joins us now as well, which is great. Merry Christmas and all that jazz. We've got a little bit of feedback there from Daniel's end as well. New curtains from Daniel as well. Net curtains today. Yes, my G. They look very Christmassy as well. How are we all doing? We good?
Yeah, bro. Good, man. Good.
No, I'm good. It's not new. It's just a different room. It's a different room.
I hear you on that. David's here as well with us now. He's just loading him. Oh, I'll wait for him actually to load in. I don't know what's going on. But a really important win today, Chelsea lads. A really important win for yourselves today.
Yeah, very important win. I mean, they didn't. No one. I didn't get any messages encouraging me, ensuring that I was on the terrace today. I actually rushed back home. I had a couple errands to watch. I was watching it on the move, mixing the radio as well. But boy, you know I'm happy. Look, at the end of the day, what's going to happen is, let me get the agenda out of the way first. I love Lukaku. Everyone knows this. He's one of my favorite players, one of my favorite football players. And I don't care who he plays, because Aston Villa, especially this Steven Gerrard Aston Villa, are a very good side. Like, no one can take it away from him. They are a very good side. They're very organized. I like the way they play, where it's almost like their midfielders are stretched, but they're also inverted. And then the way they've got athletes all around the pitch. And Ramsey, that guy is a baller, and he's going to go far, really far. I really liked him. But Lukaku came on and changed the game, man. Instantly, you could see that we were playing more direct towards him. What I've been crying out for is, if you play to Lukaku's strengths and he doesn't live up to expectation, then agenda away. That is fine. But the reason why I've been pained and so annoyed and I can't even respond to the trolls is because we're not playing to his strengths. We're not playing to the way that we should be playing to someone that we spent 90 million on. We aren't. Today we did that. Played it into his feet. Played it directly to him. Let him hold it up. Bring other people into play. Play it into the channels. You know what's key, yeah? Play it into the chat. He doesn't even have to win it, but the defenders kick it out closer to their goal because they're worried about him running. Like, play it into him. You get the Lukaku combination, which I've been crying out for as well. Finally, they get their first little combination going. Good header. Then the second one is literally typical Lukaku. Trademark Lukaku. Target. I think Target could hear the footsteps behind him when Lukaku was bearing down. Like, I would be scared. Like, literally bearing down on him. And he did the rest there. So, I mean, the agenda in the chat was going that he was going to miss. It's fine. Man of the match. 45 minutes under his belt. You already know. Big 4-4 no safety, my people. Come into the chat. It's catching on. It's catching on. Let's go.
Listen, I hear you on that, and it was for David. How was the performance in your opinion? 9 attempts on goal. Hudson probably should have put the game to bed a little bit later on. Were you impressed with the play, the performance? Like, what are you saying, David?
No, I really wasn't. I'm not gonna lie. Like, the first half was really annoying me. Obviously, I'm happy we won. But it's just there are so many like little things in the final third that just really me. People just not playing passes at the right time. People choosing the wrong options, and then just a lack of clinical edge. It's just those it's really simple things that you can fix in training, but they just haven't been fixed yet, which is it's really frustrating. But happy we won. And yeah, Lukaku came on, changed the game. I was really hoping he did because, like, in the first half, it was looking really peak. It was 1-1, and it was a struggle. The game was a real struggle. And Villa always give us a good game. Always give us a good game, no matter what's going on. So happy with the win.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Villa did. I mean, Lies, I'm going to go to Prime and Beast in a minute. Lies, I was a neutral watching. Like, what was your take? Because I didn't think they countered okay, but they didn't really break Chelsea down today, Aston Villa.
Yeah, it was a weird game for me. For the first half, it was very, very bizarre the way that played out. And then you have the main man, Lukaku. And honestly, like, I'm actually very happy that he came on and shut a lot of people up today because as are most football fans, they're so reactionary, but they forget just why this guy was brought in for so much money. And for everyone who is so desperate to see him fail, so desperate to say that this is the same guy who was at United, today is an example, a big example that he has improved vastly. And for me, the biggest thing was that last action that led to the penalty. The way this guy runs that right-hand channel, you put it down there and he's unstoppable. He's undefendable. And he changed the game for Chelsea today. And I think the fact is they still don't look at their best. It was a weird performance overall. Like, I agree, Villa didn't really challenge Chelsea, but Chelsea at times as well, the attack does not look cohesive whatsoever. But this is the reason why Lukaku was brought in. Sure, there will be games where they play a fluid front three and they get it done, and Chelsea might play better and they'll score 7 against Norwich. But then you have games like today where things aren't going to plan. No one has their finishing boots on. Mount is missing an open goal. Hudson-Odoi goes through one-on-one, and you just need a bully in the box that can win you the game with one move. Brilliant movement, by the way. Shrug in, 2-1 up. Brilliant play from Lukaku. And I think this is really what having a top-notch number 9 does for you. There will be games where he slows you down and fans kind of complain about it. But games like today, you need a Romelu Lukaku to just bully defenders. And I thought he was absolutely brilliant with his goal, the way he won the penalty. And it deserved 3 points for Chelsea. Does this mean that they're back? Does this mean that, the title race is back on? Personally, I don't really think so. I think you look at City, I think they're unstoppable at the moment, and I don't see anyone that can stop them. But this is a big 3 points for Chelsea, for sure.
It's a good talking point. I want to speak about that a little bit later in terms of some of the noise I've heard coming from rivals, of almost like writing the season off, as if to say that not being in a title race now is acceptable. And I don't think it should be for any of the big four from the top six. We do know why Chelsea won today, though, right? You all know the real reason.
Why is that?
You all know? Because 10 minutes before kickoff, Igal came on there with his Igal tax and said, Chelsea, we're coming for you. You're always going to win today, because as soon as Igal said that, I was like, Chelsea are winning. 110%. Paul, thanks for pointing that out to us there. Prime's with us, of course, long-standing member of the Football Terrace. What was your take on the performance today? And is that it now? Lukaku got to be back in all these teams now moving forward. Can't be sitting on that bench anymore, can he?
Yeah, he has to be back in the 11. He's our most clinical player. And when he was out injured and we went through, I don't even call it a mini run, but like we played 2 or 3 games on the bounce. And in that, we beat Norwich 7-0. And people wanted to pipe up about like him not being good or we're better without him. He's the only one that you can guarantee that will get us goals if we actually create for him. And him coming on, I still only think he only got 1 chance in this game. And he scored from that. And that still isn't good enough. Like, we need to feed this guy because we're still in the title race. I still believe we are still in the title race. But if there's a serious chance of us winning it, it's going to come from him scoring us goals. And we need to continuously feed him. Cho, I don't think he was personally that great, other than the fact that he got the assist. He could have scored himself. Mount, again, could have scored himself. He had a horrendous miss. And if that was Timo Werner, people get on his back. If that's Lukaku, people complain that he has no first touch and no movement and yada, yada, yada. But because it's Mason Mount and he's a cupping boy, he'll get, no one will criticize him for it. Chalobah playing today was awful. Rightfully so, came off at halftime. We need to bring in Koundé or another centre-back as quickly as possible because I can't have this guy starting continuously as one of our back three. He's going to expose us.
I hear you on that. CFC Beast. 3 shots on target, 3 goals today. I know you're active on the spaces, so I want to ask you a football Twitter spaces question. Is Chelsea's type of performance today sustainable?
Nice, not to be fair, but it's been happening for a long time. Like even at the beginning of the season, we were just scoring goals, but we were still not really creating anything. Like we've consistently been doing this, and it's been a problem at our club. Even whilst Eden Hazard was here, like we just continue to struggle to create consistently, and it annoys me. Like today, like obviously a lot of people said Odoi's decision making was bad and stuff like that. For me, for a player that just came back from COVID or whatever it was, he had a very good performance in my opinion. Obviously, he should have scored that chance, but there's other players like Mount should have scored. I feel like there's players in this team that need to be creating better. Like we have nobody spoken about the fact Reece James was very poor today. He was abysmal at times. Marcos Alonso continued. Whenever we have a counter attack, he slows it down. Like even Kante, like, I love him, but he was misplacing a few passes, and just we weren't able to keep the ball very well.
I hear you on that, and I was one of my sort of points on the agenda was Reece James. He did look today about 4 times. A commentator seemed to kill him. Talk about how you always get a good cross and it was overhit, or it wasn't quite there. He's not really had a great few weeks. Do you feel like maybe there's been a bit too much pressure put upon him with the whole Trent comparisons, best in the league? Do you feel like maybe a little bit of that was too premature with him?
No. I think he's just in bad form. Like a lot of our players have been. I think he's just in bad form. I don't think it's really about pressure. A lot of our players, like, started off the season very well, but a lot of our players as of recent haven't really been at their best. Like Mason Mount's been bagging goals, but his 90-minute performances, I wouldn't say have been that great. Like us as a Chelsea as a team haven't been great as of recent. So I'll give Reece James the benefit of the doubt, but the performances do need to step up a bit because it's not looking good.
I'll just add by saying that his second half performance dramatically improved, and he actually nullified the threat that we were facing in the first half, where they were just Ings, Watkins, and Buendia were literally getting in the sides throughout that first half, and he stopped that because of his pace. And obviously we've seen Tuchel do that. Like when he sees there's pace and it's threatening the back line, he puts Reece James at the back. So he played well in the second half. First half, diabolical, should never happen again, of course. I disagree with the pressure thing as well, because he's been part of a collective that's not been great. And requiring or expecting great performances from someone who's playing in a team that isn't really in great confidence isn't really the easiest. I just think it's a bit of a casual take in it, because you could look at Pulisic now, for example, and just say because he's playing up front, yeah, he's been dead, he's rubbish, or he's not good. But I saw him be positive when he was at right wing back, when Tuchel changed that at half time. So because he had the opportunity to dribble and go at players. So I think it's more about him just getting the confidence back, getting back into the swing of things. He's still getting assists. He's still managing to put up the numbers, just like the modern day fullbacks need to do, but also providing that defensive security. And that's what he was able to rely on today. We needed that big time in the second half, and he was able to show that in leaps and bounds.
Yeah, here you want. There's a comment here actually from O'Neill that says, Terry, players don't care about that, mate. That's just fan debate. I think they do. We keep hearing it from players about how we heard it from Willian the other day when he was speaking to Rio Ferdinand about how the way Arsenal fans treated him, spoke about him, tweeted about him, things they said and did impacted the way he played. So if too much negativity can damage you, too much praise can do the same thing as well. Like for me, I don't believe that we can just. I think sometimes I see it so much in football now. It was almost that like Mendy, I think, has been pretty poor recently for you, and it's weird that that's come off the back of him being spoken about of being one of the best in the world. You've got Martinez at Aston Villa, who for like 2 years was killing it. Suddenly, the whole world's like, oh, he should be at a bigger club. He's amazing. I think he's looked rank average in large parts this year. I do feel like sometimes too much praise can get into the minds of these people. Do they stop trying as hard? Do they get a bit overconfident? I don't know. But I don't agree with O'Neill that praising someone can't get into their psyche. If negativity can damage them, praise can as well, surely.
Yeah, you can start to certain players can start to believe their own hype. Like it happened at the start of the season with Mount when he was playing poor, and like some wanted to put it down on lack of a preseason or whichever. I don't know. I kind of put it down to him just believing this mysticism or praise and everything about him being our best player and being this amazing guy. Maybe he believed his own praise too much that it kind of like affects you mentally. I think like you are right. It can happen, and it happens. It does happen to players.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a big, deep thing. He's a really talented young lad, and I think he'll come back. And he's had a couple of what I think are not poor games, but I think what you got to be careful with is that I feel like what's happened, and again, maybe it's also about how we judge. Every time he crosses the ball now, it's like we're expecting an assist or a cross of David Beckham level, because that's what Trent does. And I think that what's really interesting about Trent's and Reece James's and other very good right fullbacks is they don't all have to be identical to each other to be very good. Does that make sense? It's almost like we're looking for everybody to be like robots and they all play the same way and do the same things. What really impressed me with Reece James today was when he got made to go back into being a centre back, he was very good. So that's an element of Reece James's game which most other young right wing backs, right fullbacks in the Premier League can't do. How many can go and play centre back away from home in the Premier League and look like a centre back? But it's almost because that isn't like the popular and fashionable part of a fullback now. No one cares. I do find that element a little strange.
Yeah, definitely. Defensively, like I'm pretty much we all say I think he is better than Trent. I know. I don't want to get into this debate, but like defensively, he is a better player. Like it's quite simple.
And at the end of the day, look, I just think personally, people are exaggerating. Like these players are obviously going to Reece James and Trent are still both 22 and 23. So like you can get onto them all you want, but these players, they're still going to improve. They're going to have poor games. I mean, Cancelo is in the debate as well for three of the best right backs in the league. He's like, he's 28, 29. So the fact that Trent and James are even considered to be in there, I mean, Trent, obviously, there are a lot of people that think he's like gone and clear. Personally, I'd still have Reece James. I think he's better. I'd always take him 1000%. But at the end of the day, you have to. A lot of these guys are playing so many games, so many minutes. Like, it's bound to happen. Poor form is bound to happen, and he will rise back to the occasion, just like a lot of the other guys.
Yeah, of course. And do you know what? Getting an assist doesn't necessarily mean that you had a great game, especially for a fullback and a defender. So I think that's also very, very... Look, I didn't think he was great today, especially in the first half, but I think he really improved. I thought he did very well in the centre-back areas. I want to ask a question, boys. I want to ask a question today. So when City were killing it... Oh, by the way, I need to show you all something. Look at this. You know, I was taking the mick out of Bielsa about sitting on a puffy. So for Christmas, I got bought a puffy. It's actually really good for putting your feet on, right? It means my feet, it's been helping my circulation. It's very, very good. So thank you for my puffy. You know, you put your feet in it. The kids are on it all the time. Been fighting. Honestly, the kids wanted that more than their toys. I'm looking at them thinking I could have just bought you a puffy rather than or buffet. I was told it was a buffet, but I'm like, I'm not really posh, so I'm gonna say puffy. But the question I actually had is this. Random. When City won today, I saw a lot of tweets, a lot of comments, a lot of comments as well when we did our match reaction from Chelsea and Liverpool fans primarily. And they didn't all directly say it, but what I felt like they were implying is the season's over now. We can't win the league, or I'd be shocked if City didn't run away with it, which is code for I don't think we're going to win it anymore. If Chelsea or Liverpool, I don't know how to word this question the right way. I'm not trying to load it. If Chelsea or Liverpool, though, finish 10 points, 15 points behind Man City, is that failure for Liverpool and Chelsea? But by the way, Man United have already failed. That's the only reason I'm not bringing them into that, because we've already as a club failed this year. Is it failure to not
It is
keep on the shoulder of Chelsea, keep on the shoulder of Man City?
It is. It has to be, because at the beginning of the season, we were calling this a 4-horse title race, and to finish 10 points behind a team, no matter how great City are, that's abysmal. That cannot happen with the quality that Liverpool and Chelsea both possess in their teams. I get City have been doing this for many years and doing back to back. What to finish 10 points behind the league leaders that's a failure, man. Especially with the way that we've started. Obviously, we will top, and then the momentum Liverpool's been on. That cannot happen. I don't care what anyone tells me.
I got a comment.
Yeah, there's a comment here from Nathaniel that says 10 points isn't that much. But we can get into what is and what isn't. Yeah, Lias, what's your view on all this?
Listen, technically it's a failure because I think Chelsea did come into the season with title aspirations, or at least their fan base did. But I think we have to be honest here. Manchester City are a better team than Chelsea. Pep Guardiola is a better manager than Thomas Tuchel. No disrespect. I think these are fair statements to make. And I think the biggest thing as well, they are way further in their development and how long they've been building this team and going for titles and going deep into title runs for so long now. So it's a failure in the aspect that, yeah, Chelsea made it a mission to win the title this year. But I don't know, man. Honestly, like I just look at these teams and I think City are just at this moment miles better than any in a 38-game season. I think they're untouchable. Honestly, I think in the Champions League, Chelsea and Liverpool can beat them in one-off games. But I think this team is just too strong for Chelsea, and I think Liverpool will keep the distance. But I think they as well will fall short. The City team's too strong.
Yeah, no. I mean, more from my perspective, because I actually said that I believe that we would win the league. I think, look, I don't believe it's wrong for people to have their like self-evaluation moments where they just think, yeah, Man City are too strong. I think that's fine. I mean, football fans will always do that and just think, yeah, because we don't look like this, and I think this will win the league, then I don't believe we can do it. So I'm fine with fans thinking that. I still think we're in the title race, contrary to popular belief that apparently I said that we're not. No, what I was saying is if we can't win certain situations, if we can't get out of certain situations, then maybe we have to reevaluate our expectations for the season. However, in my personal opinion, I still think it's very, very possible. Like I said to you on I think I'm going to say this on every stream, as long as we keep winning, innit? Because that's what it leads up to. If we win all the games that we have coming up now, So I think we've got Brighton, we've got Man City, we've got Liverpool. If you get maximum points in those games, it's all to play for once again, because definitely you look at Man City today, they went 4-0 up, everyone was thinking the game was done, went back to 4-3. It can happen in any game. Like I know Man City are strong. I know they look the best further in their development, 1000%. We're still in year one, theoretically.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I still think it's possible. I still definitely think, because as long as your team wins, you have no control over anything that happens. And people are talking about our form against Everton, we lost one game in 17. We lost 1 in 17 despite the poor form. So for me personally, that gives me a lot of confidence, because Man City and Liverpool will definitely, of course, Man City will go on their fantastic run, their great run, whatever. As long as you keep winning your games, for all the fantastic run, how many points are we behind Man City? Isn't it 5 points, 6 points?
6 points.
Six.
That's 2 games, and if we beat Man City, which we have to do, it can change.
I just think they're just gonna win every game. I don't know what to say, but I genuinely just feel like they're gonna win every game. Laporte scoring goals, Mahrez is scoring goals, Sterling is scoring goals. At the start of the season, none of those 3 players were even in the team, and now they're starting and scoring goals. Like he can just rotate.
The thing with City too is that they're dominant in every single game, and it's like again, I'm not dissing Chelsea or Liverpool here. These 2 teams are 2 of the best in Europe. But you see, they have a lot of games like today where they barely get over the line. And on a different day, they may not win the game. City looks like they're going to win every single game. They are in control and dominating every game they play. And here's a question for you guys, honestly. City are on track right now to finish with 94 points, just based off what they've done in the first half of the season. We're exactly one half of the way there. If Chelsea finish with 84 points this year and lose the league title, I just don't know if I would call that a failure, because 84 points is a good tally.
And that's kind of what I'm alluding to. So I'm just, for me, like a lot of people make statements, and sometimes I feel like certain statements are made, they're quite loaded, or they imply something else, or they're excuses, or they're planting seeds. I'm just trying to understand where people are coming from. I saw a Liverpool fan earlier on today, and I'm not even trying to get into a beef with anyone. They were just like, I can see City running away with it. And my response to this Liverpool fan was like, have some faith, back your team. Like
Liverpool, I feel differently about, to be honest.
Yeah, and Liverpool are different. And it was like, I do back my team to still challenge. But you said that in the same breath, you're saying if City are going to run away with it, you're not backing your team, as even to say we're going to win as well. City can't run away with it and your team push them close. Those 2 things don't exist in reality at the same time. And I still look at it this way. I look at, like, for instance, with City, with your 6 points behind City. You're not 6 points behind City because they've played 6 points better than you. I look at the Man United game, the Burnley game, the Everton game, where you beyond dominated, created the chances. That wasn't because City won the matches. Like, as part of it, because they had to win the points themselves. But that was more Chelsea's misgivings. That's why I look at it a little bit more like Chelsea are off the pace right now because of their misgivings and failures, as opposed to Man City purely just being too good to catch. Because it isn't like Chelsea. Do you get where I'm coming from? It isn't like you've been poor in loads and loads and loads of football matches. Even if you take in the poor performances, you should still be level with City. You should be, in terms of finishing your dinner and putting things away. And I suppose I'm just trying to ascertain what a Chelsea fan and what a Liverpool fan now looks at in the league as being season. Like, before you say that weren't good enough.
I think our best chance now, and I think this same goes to Liverpool. If both Liverpool and Chelsea want to win this league title, our best chances are beating City when we come up against them, because I don't see them dropping points to a Burnley like we did, or an Everton. Yeah, I don't see that happening. So both clubs, our best chances, like, just speaking on the Chelsea, since it's Chelsea stream, our best chance is going all of the games in January, winning all of them. Liverpool, Tottenham, and Man City. We have to win all of them if we have any chance of really wanting to win this title.
But the point is that I'm trying to make is that, and the thing is that, if Chelsea now don't win the league, everyone will be like, I told you. See, I told you you weren't going to win, but it's not about that. The point is, as long as we put ourselves in a position where we continue to compete and we continue to challenge, we could, for all we know, we could beat Liverpool and Man City and still not win the league.
Exactly.
So that's still very, very possible, because then we drop points to a silly team that we shouldn't have been dropping points to anyway. So my point is, look, 10 points for me is too much because I think we're better than that. I think we can really keep it tight. I mean, I saw a tweet that Hussein made, which made me laugh because he was like, if not for Liverpool, Man City would have steamrolled the league. It's funny that you say that because in the time that Pep and Klopp have been there, Chelsea and Liverpool have the same amount of Premier League titles. So, I mean,
Yeah.
But essentially, the point is, as a club, we need to ensure that we continue to win as many games as we can. Games like today, for everything that has happened, for all the nervousness, for all the jitteriness, the anxiousness, we still won the game 3-1 and we came out on top in a situation where we didn't even start with our strongest team. So as long as we're within distance, for me, within distance, I still think we can win it. However, being within distance isn't a failure, and that's fine because I still believe we can win silverware elsewhere too.
And I hear that, and I agree with you. I haven't necessarily set a points total in my own head, but I sort of look at it like Liverpool and Chelsea, for me, to have successful seasons, they need to be within mathematically able to win the league with 4 games to go at least. That's a title race. Like, if you guys are out of it with 10 games to go, when your squads are worth what they're worth, with the managers that you've all got, I do think that's a failure of a season. And I don't think that's about being harsh. Doesn't necessarily mean that the managers need to be sacked. It's just this didn't go how he wanted it to. And I do feel like what I am seeing from some fans is almost trying to put it out there very early, like relinquishing their club of any accountability. Like, well, City are so good, it doesn't really matter what we do. I don't necessarily agree with that, because you have to look at it from how much have you grown from last year? You know, how close are you to City? Is it a case of improving in 1 or 2 small areas? You have to still focus, because football, it's not the season finale. The season doesn't end in May and that's it. Football's finished. Like, it's revolutionary. It keeps getting
By
forward.
that logic, though, they have improved a lot since last season in the league, right? Like, even if they finish 10 points behind City, that's massive improvement.
Chelsea,
Because Chelsea are the newcomers in this battle, effectively. Like, Liverpool and City are, as we've said, they are further along in their cycle. This Chelsea is very young. So
but even that further along in their process, even for me, it's a bit of BS, because at the end of the day, look, if we had beaten Everton, an Everton side which we should have beaten, and we had beaten
Man United when.
But that's the point. That's the point, Daniel. About a 38. That's the point about a 38 game season, though, bro. Those results at the end of the season, they add up. There are points just like Liverpool.
But Leah, this is now where it ties. This is where now it ties into my main overarching point, where really and truly the Premier League have to take a good look at themselves, because everyone was complaining at us for saying that COVID cases are affecting our ability to field a side and field a squad. I just want fairness and transparency in it, because it was pointed out that what's it called? The rule was you need 13 fit players or something like that. Like, COVID isn't a factor to that. And we brought it up in the chat, we spoke about it, and I was like, yeah, that is so Chelsea must play. Like, it doesn't, Tuchel's excuses are nonsense, because Chelsea have to play against Wolves. But there are many instances now around the league where they have a squad. Both sides have enough squads, but because they have multiple COVID cases, they're cancelling games now. So I just think
what are we saying? COVID ruined Chelsea's title challenge.
No, not ruined.
We told Liverpool last year we can't use injuries, so we're using COVID this year. That's how it is.
Yeah.
No, I think it is for me. It's just about understanding, and I think you're right, yes. Chelsea have improved as a club. Overall, they're a much better team this season than they were in the Prem than last year. And maybe that's what it is for some Chelsea fans. Almost a case of, do you know what? Our progression is there. We go again next year and expect even better. It's more the kind of very generic sort of, it doesn't matter now what we do. City have won it anyway. And I sort of feel like those kind of comments just seem a little bit like, are you just trying to get your manager or get a few players out of jail free? Because there should still be standards and elements that you know, because what Chelsea don't need to do, Chelsea throw away their winning ethic and wanting to win games, then you get dragged into a top 4 race. And Chelsea shouldn't, from where you started and where you were a few weeks ago, you shouldn't be in no top 4 race. You've got Arsenal breathing down your neck. That ain't good. Like, that ain't good. It isn't. And I think that I just feel like that needs to kind of be.
I agree.
Discussed slightly. We have a few super chats here I want to do. It says, for such an amazing side like Man City, which they are, they will still find a way to bottle the Champions League. Maybe. Having an opinion that City are very good and can run away focus on can does not mean that Liverpool, Chelsea can't challenge. It's just an opinion.
Yeah.
I understand that, but saying I'd be surprised if they didn't run away with it is you saying I think they're going to run away with it. If you think that City are going to run away with it, you don't think Liverpool are going to win the league. You can't think Liverpool are going to win the league, and you'd be massively shocked if City don't run away with it at the same time. Unless I'm misthinking that. I don't understand if maybe I'm getting that wrong.
I think it's just nostalgia though, because I can't remember the time in the league where I've seen City get dethroned when they've been at the top, especially in the form that they're in. Like
it doesn't happen.
It just doesn't happen, which is, and I do get that obviously as Chelsea fans, we should be like very confident, and we should still want to challenge, but the possibility of City actually being dethroned off the top is so minimal that like I can understand why people have been saying it.
No, and I get that. And again, I still think City winning. I think City will win the league is very different from I think they're going to run. I think it's the run away with it comment, which running away with it for me is 10, 15, 20 points.
Yeah, they won't do that.
If Liverpool finished 15 points behind City,
failure.
That's a failure for Liverpool this season. Chelsea, it's a failure. Man United, it's a failure because at the end, I think Man United, if we win our games in hand, I think we're like 11, 12 points. If we end up finishing 20 points behind them, even Ralph in the Premier League, to a degree, has failed. I don't want him falling another 10 points from where we are now. It's not acceptable. We've got too good a squad to lose another 10 points on City from now. I want to hold my club to a high standard of us improving. I don't think that's unreasonable, but very interesting indeed. Top 4 race, gents. I know that you're kind of you're pretty much safe from this, but I wanted to get your views on.
It's my time to shine.
Man United kind of been written off with nearly every Spurs fan who's come on the show today. And every Arsenal fan, probably barring Jess, all think that they are going to clinch that final 4th spot. Where's your head at, Liaz, looking at this? And do you think Chelsea could be dragged into the top 4 race, or do you think they're just too good for that?
First of all, I've never wanted Man United to play a football game so bad, bro. Listening to Arsenal fans, Spurs, there's no presence there in that fan base, but listening to Arsenal fans just write off United and say we're running away with this, and looking at Chelsea now, they're ignoring United and Spurs. They're looking at Chelsea. It's killing me, man. Honestly, it's killing me. I need United to come out tomorrow. I need a strong performance. I need us to wipe the floor of Newcastle, get people remembering that there is another club in Manchester. But as for Chelsea, no, they were never in a top 4 race. Honestly, like that's. Even I think I was saying it last show, Terry, even in this space of games that people have said Chelsea have fallen off, how many games have they lost? How many points have they realistically dropped? It's the performances that have kind of waned a bit, and people are starting to question the sustainability of it. But like you said, they're 6 points behind City still. This fall off, for me, has been exaggerated. I just think they kind of fell back to what kind of team they really were. I think the heights that they hit against Juventus were like, wow. That's not who Chelsea are at this current moment in their development. But top 4, I don't think they were really ever realistically in that race. But it is definitely between United, Arsenal, and Spurs. And the scary thing for me as a United fan is that they're picking up points and they're gaining momentum quick. Spurs under Conte, right? It's only been a few weeks, but they look like they fixed up in such a short amount of time. And Arsenal,
I think they've got 3 games in hand, innit?
If they win in theory all their games in hand, they'll go on to 38 points, which is only 3 behind us.
Yeah.
Conte has done an amazing job.
What's interesting now, though, is that Arsenal's game against Wolves has been postponed. So that's that's a non-game in hand game now that Spurs and Man United potentially get to win back. I think it's going to be an amazing race. And that's why I looked at Chelsea today, though. And I really felt that if Chelsea dropped points today, I felt like they could almost be dragged into it, but they just need to keep winning now. Like Chelsea, one to maintain their title race, but they don't want to end up in this weird kind of race that you never want to be in. But once you're in it, now it's important.
But you see what I mean, though. Why it's so funny, though, is like, and the reason why you always have to be reflective about this situation is, hey, Prime, how can you just come out like that?
He's got a Santa hat and all with it.
Scared me. But what's it called? We're now on the same points as Liverpool. Liverpool now have to win their game, because if they don't win their game, we're on the same points as Liverpool. So what? Are Liverpool now dragged into the top 4 race all of a sudden? So that's my point. Like it's so topsy-turvy that I just thought the Chelsea being dragged in was a bit premature. It's understandable, and it is a good discussion to have. It's a very there is a debate, but I just think that for the guys that are saying we might not win the league, you also need to reflect on the fact that we might not be that good to win the league yet, but we're not that bad to be dragged into a top 4 race, if that makes sense. So we're just in the middle.
No, I hear that. I do hear that. But the top four is really interesting because, as I say, Man United are kind of being written off to a degree. Most gooners feel that they'll beat us that I've spoken to. We've had Ryan and Alan, like Chelsea fans, are like, sorry, Liverpool, Spurs fans, sorry, who are like, if we get who we want in the market in Jan, it's ours. We are getting it. At this rate, someone's going to have a lot of egg on their face.
Even United fans have written off Ranić, bro. Even United fans are starting to turn on Ranić. It's making me sick, man. I need them to play ASAP.
Yeah, I think people writing off United, I think it's so dumb. What they've been written off the past 2 years to make top 4, and they finished 2nd and 3rd comfortably.
Yeah,
they've got out of United, Arsenal, and Liverpool, or it's not Liverpool, Spurs. They've got the best squad in the league. They've got one of the best strike forces in the league. They've got Ronaldo. Like, Arsenal will fall away, and Spurs. Do you really trust Levy to get the guys that you need in January? It's stupid. It's stupid.
Prime, all right, cool. I'll ask you the question to the 2 United fans then, Terry Lears. But the reason why this is different, and it's for the same reasons that we've just been highlighting now. The fact that you haven't played in so long, and I know other people aren't playing too. So I know. Just let me land in it first.
No, I know what you're gonna say. Yeah.
But are you nervous that? Remember, you could play a game, you win your first game in hand, everything's good. You lose that second game, and then you're just like, whoa, like, what's going on now? Like, we need to really recover. Like, you're on the back foot. That's why I hate games in hand. I'd rather have the games.
I'm terrified, bro. I'm terrified.
It's not solely based on the games in hand, because people are acting as if Spurs and Arsenal will win the remaining games of the season, and the games in hand will determine whether, say, United get top 4. True. It's not just the games in hand. Spurs will lose games again.
No, but it's getting to the stage where teams are now like Arsenal have played so many more games in hand. It almost feels like Arsenal are legit 9 points ahead of Man United.
It's the narrative that goes in your head,
yeah. But it's I think it's a dumb narrative to have because it is, because realistically, I know the games in hand, whether you can win it or lose it, but United are not out of it completely.
No, definitely not. It's just the way it feels. Like if we lose tomorrow to Newcastle, Twitter is going to explode. Honestly,
if you lose to Newcastle, you don't deserve top 4. They might be the worst team in the Premier League.
No, but I think the difference with like United and Arsenal and Tottenham, I think one thing might hurt them is obviously Arsenal and Tottenham are both out of Europe, so it's literally just Premier League football week in, week out. What might hurt United is, number one, coming back from, I don't know how, I can't remember the last time United actually played football. So not only like you're gonna be like, a lot of your players are they're not really match fit. They haven't been playing football regularly. That's number one. And number two is when Champions League starts now, you've got Atletico Madrid, and say you go deep into the Champions League. How are you going to battle that with top 4?
I would also get knocked out against
Prime. Yeah. Sorry, let me just respond to that. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. We could go out to Atletico, and that circumvents that problem. So more failure can help us in the league. But look, I think I totally get everyone's point about match fitness not playing. Spurs have not looked like they've been away. In fact, Spurs' performance against Liverpool, they look the fresher side for large parts. Today against Palace, it was fairly even in the opening 10, 15 minutes. As soon as they scored one goal, they took over and dominated. Zaha, petulant, sent off, easy. They've not looked like a team that's exhausted. These players will be doing training in private, keeping those fitness levels up. They will. They're professional. They're going to be doing that, in my opinion. So I'm not worried about that. But the game in hand element, I am concerned about. I was talking about I wanted circuit breakers only if Man United's games were going to be called off, because I didn't want to get 4 or 5 games behind Arsenal, because you have to psychologically, if you're 10, 12, 15 points behind, it's still an uphill battle for you that you've got to overcome. We have to now win our games when we return. We have to beat Newcastle, but it does make it a little bit more exciting. In terms of our squad, though, we should be. We have, like, from an attacking point of view, you've got Sancho. Right now, Martial's there. You've got Sancho, you've got Martial, you've got Rashford, you've got Bruno, you've got Cavani, you've got Cristiano Ronaldo. There is no excuse to not be beating these teams that we're up
Terry,
against.
but there was no excuse for us not to be in a title race either. And look where we ended up, bro.
But
This
that's
team
it.
is
Okay,
cursed, man.
no, but what you're doing though is you're taking Ollie's tenure and you're mixing it now with Ralph. They are completely. That's a bit like saying Spurs have got no chance because look how bad they were with Nuno.
That's true.
That doesn't make any. For me, I can't think like that. Little things like Varane's back tomorrow. We haven't seen Varane play. For my view is this: this is Varane's debut if he plays. Like we haven't seen him play in a competent system with a decent manager who can coach well. Like all these little things, I'm just remaining relaxed about because if Spurs can improve the way they have, I believe Man United can and will. And we look like we're going to sign some people in January as well. I think quite a few clubs may. So for me, I'm not guaranteeing. I still pick Man United as my favourites to do it. I do think Chelsea will keep themselves away. I've been saying for weeks when you guys have been dropping points, I still think Chelsea are going to come good. I can still see you going on like a really good unbeaten run again and gaining some of these points on City and being there or thereabouts with Liverpool. And as you say, Liverpool in the last few weeks, no one's been calling Liverpool season bad like they've been calling Chelsea's, but you're level on points. Yeah. which is what's absolutely crazy. It's just how these narratives are spun for me. But look, Man United, Arsenal, West Ham are out of it now. I think they're done. They're not going to stay the course. But those three teams, it's going to be one hell of a race for that Champions League spot. But the only team where there's pressure on is Man United because Arsenal and Spurs weren't predicted to make it. So we have to go and do it. And that pressure makes it a little bit harder for us because
here's the thing too, Terry. The fact that our last game, which was 2 weeks ago, was against Norwich and the way we played, that's the lasting memory in everyone's head. If that last game we had played was the Palace game where we played really well, people would have been like, oh, United are just building up momentum. They're coming. But the fact is, the way we played that last game is the lasting memory in everyone's head. And people are already starting to cast doubts. But I like the point you brought about Spurs. They missed all this time out, but I think if anything, it gave Conte more. I think Conte would have loved that time off because it gives him more time to focus on his squad and get these guys more on side and put his methods into play. I think for Ranić, this is perfect. It gives him a few weeks, one-on-one training, get to know his team better. And I'm excited to see tomorrow.
So am I. I mean, look, it's mad things as well. Narratives are very important in these things. Someone sent me this through earlier on today. It's just a narrative thing. No midfielder in any of the top 5 leagues in Europe has got more non-penalty goals, more big chances created, or more assists than Bruno Fernandes this year. But yet the narrative is he's having a terrible season. So Bruno Fernandes' awful season still leaves everybody else trailing in terms of outputs. But the narrative is he's doing badly. You know, Harry Kane's having an awful season. Man still got like 10 goals. Like it's not great, but it isn't like he's having the worst across all comps. He isn't having like a Timo Werner year. Like he's still, do you get what I mean? But it's about the standards people set or how stories are spun and all stuff like that. And look, Man United they will cook under Ralph, in my opinion. But that isn't to say Arsenal are not doing well and Spurs are not going to do well under Antonio Conte, because I told you all he was going to do something there, and they look dangerous to me. Tottenham. They don't look brilliant to watch, but they're just efficient and clean, and they've got Eric Dyer at the back, and they're hard to break down.
Yeah, but like what you guys are talking about when you guys were speaking about pressure, when you guys were speaking about pressure and with United and stuff, once Arsenal and Spurs start to become favourites to get that spot, the pressure with them will mount and they will break.
Yeah. Arsenal play Spurs in a couple of weeks.
Well, and do you know what? That's a great point you raised there, and that's where, for instance, today you saw Chelsea for me that are a title. They have the ability to win titles, Champions Leagues. We know that you've won one. Premier Leagues, you've won them loads in the Premier League era because you stood up today when you had to win. Like today was beyond must win for Chelsea. Lose, and you're looking at the top 4 race, and you're out of the title race completely, 9 points behind City. Very difficult, and you had to win, and you did. This is where we're really going to test. If Man United and Spurs win, they all win their games in hand, or they draw one of those matches, and all 3 of those teams are neck and neck. That's when you really see when Arsenal go into a game first, and it's like win to keep the pressure on those 2, or Man United and Spurs both play on the Saturday and win, and Arsenal play on the Sunday, and they're now sitting in 6th. Can they respond? That's a very different, and I would say in the last 15 years, 16 years, nearly 20 years, that's been Arsenal's biggest bugbear. when it generally, barring a few FA Cup finals, when it's really mattered, I would say 80% of the time, Arsenal have failed in the last.
It's been their problem. It's been their problem this year, Terry. Every single big game they've gone into, their players have absolutely crumbled. I said every time they play a big team, their players are not mentally there to go into these big games and show up. So yeah, we still have to see from them as well. 100%.
But that's the point, though. Like what we said, 80% of the time, Arsenal crumble when it matters. When it matters for Tottenham, 99.5%.
This is true.
So for me, look, I understand that Conte, better manager, he's one of the best managers, and arguably, look, if you even have Conte above Tuchel, I don't really argue with that. Like, it's reasonable from a management perspective. But for me, let's not forget that when Jose Mourinho came into Tottenham, as far as deep into December, beginning of January, they were in the title race. They called that Tottenham v Liverpool game at the end of December the title showdown. Like, whoever won that one was going to win the title. Like, that wasn't too long ago. I even remember the stream. Like, I remember it clearly in my head. So, like, again, I'm not going to call it a manager bounce. Conte is obviously better than Mourinho, so might even be doing it longer. But as far as these players are concerned, this Tottenham team doesn't scare me. I'm not worried about this Tottenham team. I have to see it for a lot longer.
Conte's already highlighted and said that the level at Spurs is very poor. So even he's already aware of it.
Yeah. So, I think January will be huge too.
January will be massive. But I agree. The level there isn't where it needs to be compared to what Conte's used to, but they're undefeated under Conte in the league after 7 games. That's why I'm a bit scared of them, because he's just that good. Some super chats here. United are not at our level, is what.
Right, we beat you 3 weeks ago, so we are above your level.
Say, Man United is not even competition for us, is what Arsenal Fever says. African Giant says Tuchel is rightfully fuming at the lack of 5 subs. I don't understand why the Premier League isn't making the change. Our players aren't safe. That's one thing I agree with the managers. Like, we should have the 5 sub rule. I think the 5 sub rule should exist forever. They should just bring it in. Makes the games far more exciting. There is some news as well, though. Simon Johnson has tweeted and confirmed that Kante's knee is hurt again. Same problem suffered versus Juve.
We've got some injury juju.
And on top of that, Thiago Silva's hamstring is in a lot of pain. Both will likely miss the game versus Brighton, but could be out for much longer. So
that's
big
3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Someone has cursed our club, man. I can't remember the last time we had the game where our whole squad was fully fit. I can't remember.
Yeah, but that doesn't happen often. Like that like it doesn't.
Yeah,
like,
I'm talking about like our main players though. Like,
unfortunately, what's happened is that we have been one of the only clubs who have played this whole Christmas period the way it was meant to happen. That's literally what's happening. These players have clocked up 45, like 90 minutes back to back.
Daniel, you're
2 days, 3 days. So,
and Thiago Silva on top of that has literally played way more games than he was supposed to. Like, I think he's played like 9 games on the bounce. I don't think he's ever done that before.
Man's old. Like,
he's 37. He's 37.
He's old. Like, he's proper. He's old for a footballer. The man's a pensioner, and
but he's still world class. He's like before. He's crazy good. Like, he's still unbelievably good. Better than just compare his performance to what Mings was doing on the other end. And
we talk about Tyrone Mings, honestly.
Do you know what though? Like, I remember watching a couple of years ago, before like the world got hit with the pandemic and that. I remember watching the team from Man United's '99 team playing the Bayern Munich team from '99, and I saw Beckham because I got to look at the players that are still relatively fit. The last thing you lose is your touch, how to read the game. It's the physical side that goes. It's the inability to move in the right way or twist or everything else that kind of goes. And like, Thiago Silva's still very mobile for a 37-year-old player. Like, he can definitely go on for a couple more years. The problem is when you're playing 2 games a week at this speed and intensity of the Premier League, it's crazy. Paul here says, Spurs have a better manager and United have better players. Arsenal will not get the top 4 in my opinion. But do you know what's interesting? It's true. Do you know what though? I did say the Gooners though as well. Arsenal finishing 6th. There's so much context that needs to be applied to it. They could finish 6th but still be happy. They finished 6th and they finished 2 points behind the team that come 4th, and they pushed it and they were there or thereabouts. That's the progression they're talking about. I do feel
I think if they finish 6th, regardless of what happens, that's a great season for them.
It could be. It depends, though. I mean, if they're sitting 4th and they're clear by 10 points with 8 games to go and they lose 6 of 8 and then they finish 6, that's sackable. I do think you need to watch what's happened. Do they crumble? Do they stay the course? But it's going to be interesting, and we've said this for some time. If Arsenal become as good as their fans say, if Spurs become as good as their fans say, if Man United get back to the standard we want, and Chelsea and Spurs and Man City stay where they are, a very good team comes 6th. Nothing you can do about it.
True.
Like, that's the one thing I think we've got to learn to get into that mindset. If our teams all become as good as we all think, someone's still coming 6th. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out and how fans handle it and stuff like that. But viewers, I appreciate you all tuning in today. We're back tomorrow as normal. Bet Victor show is on. Max reaction to Man United versus Newcastle as well. I hope we destroy those Geordie sons of guns. No disrespect to them as people. Great city, beautiful club. I don't want them in the Prem.
Disclaimer in.
I know. It's not because people think I've got an issue with Newcastle. No, every year they spend out this Prem, it's 2 years until that money starts kicking in. Like, we've got to delay this, bruv. We've got to delay this. Do you know what I'm saying? These guys are coming. They are coming. Exactly. They are coming. So I want them out.
I dare Man United to draw that game, man. I actually dare them. So.
No, if United drop points tomorrow, it's looking big.
Good show, guys. I'll catch you guys.
Wait, it'll be the end. I'll have to imagine that, bro. Honestly, like if I had hair, it would fall out. It'd be over. Terry, don't jinx it. I'm not jinxing it. Arsenal will beat the crap out of United. Arsenal fever.
Carrick, bro. Oh my god. Who gassed you guys, man? Come on.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
When's the next time you guys play?
Man United Arsenal, probably April. I'm just guessing, but I reckon about April.
I mean, we've got United second to last game of the season, so that could be
top 4. That'd be to secure our top 4 place. Chelsea come 5th. Someone actually said to me, if Tuchel doesn't make the top 4, do you think he'll get sacked? And I was like, I'm going to speak to
that's not even a question,
mate. I said to the guy, I'm going to speak to Bet Victor tomorrow, and I'm going to ask them to do me some odds. If Tuchel doesn't win the Champions League and finishes outside the top 4. What's the odds on him being sacked, right?
He's gone. He's gone for sure.
I said I'll stick £1,000 cash on that.
Don't joke with that one, bro.
The thing is, you won't even get good odds. You'll probably get something like, I bet £1,000. I bet I win £2 profit. Like it's
you'll get them Amanda Nunes odds. Them Amanda Nunes odds.
If that happens, I'll cry. No.
I was like, I don't see Chelsea finishing out. So can you imagine? It would be hilarious. It would be hilarious. Di Matteo 2.0. It would be great. I'm only joking. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Christmas period if I don't see you. Until then, take care. Goodbye. God bless. Big shout out, by the way, to our title sponsors as well, Fan Team. Go check out that link now and win up to £100,000 in the second chance football fantasy season. Go and get your team built now. In 19 days, the second chance season begins. If your team is done because you forgot to change it, 100 grand prize we are giving away over there. Go check it out. All the links are in the description and in the live comment section. Take care. Goodbye.